Welcome into another edition of Qs with Q. I am Kevin Ostreicher, and of course, Qs with Q is brought to you by Missile Training. Visit missiletraining.com for all of your sports performance and human movement needs. Now, the Baltimore Ravens lose to the Las Vegas Raiders 26-23 in Week 2. Was a tough loss for them. They fall to 0-2 for the first time since 2015, and there were a lot of opportunities for the Ravens to put this game away late, and they just could not capitalize on any of them. So we're going to break down the biggest plays from the game and talk about the trends that the Ravens need to correct heading into Week 3. And here with me is Ryan Ripken and former Baltimore Ravens wide receiver and Super Bowl champion Qadry, Ismail. And guys, I know this game was one that the Ravens, they ripped it away from the jaws of victory, and they ended up getting a defeat in this one. There are a lot of plays we can break down and a lot of reasons why the Ravens couldn't pull this one out.
Yeah, and let's theme this now for Week 2. Q's all about themes, right? So here it is. This theme is seize the moment. And let's start with the good moments, though, before we get into the bad. We know the result, but Q, start with a good moment, great moment, and it starts with number 99, Odafe Oweh.
Well, I think when you're talking about seizing a moment, it's about your star players stepping up and knowing what time it is. What time it is, you got Gardner Minshew starting off the game. You got to recognize, look, Chuck Smith has taught me extremely well what to do as far as different moves, how to be an effective rush in. Odafe Oweh over here lined up on Miller one-on-one. Miller's going to go ahead and pass set. You go ahead and run that. And in this pass set, you're going to just see how Odafe is like, okay, cool. You got my inside shoulder, but now I'm just going to quickly knock down that hand. I got outside leverage. You can see the decisiveness of his positioning, the way in which he gained leverage by his elbow into his shoulder and keep on running it, because now as Gardner Minshew thinking, oh, my backside's protective, oh, not so fast. You got Odafe Oweh seizing the moment, setting the tone for what we felt was going to be a decisive Ravens victory to get into the win column, stay pace in the AFC.
And for the record, I believe Oweh had 2 sacks on the day, right, Kev?
2.5.
2.5, but who is counting? And that's what Ravens fans want to see, right? They want to see the moments there, and that was a great little breakdown. Odafe's got the physical talent and the skills. Putting it together is one thing. A guy that's put things together, Q, Derrick Henry over his career. I think you know where we're going with this. He started to get going here, and it's specifically on this big 29-yard run.
Well, let me even just say this. Todd Monken recognized, look, I got this stud running back in the backfield. I got to let him eat. It's not always going to be perfect. And we talked about this a few weeks ago, what number 22 brings to the table. When 22 has been in the backfield, you see this box where if we start counting off guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are 7 guys in the box. We're even going to see a guy kind of come on down. So you might as well even say it's 8 guys in the box. Go ahead and show us the end zone copy of what this all looks like.
Yeah, we're going to run through this, and everyone knows the result here, right? It's a nice play, big play. And that's what Ravens fans wanted to see, Kevin, right? They wanted to see 22 out in space, throw a guy, keep moving. Things were feeling good. But then specifically, Q, you wanted to see this side real quickly on the end zone.
Yeah, so from an end zone copy aspect of things, we saw the big run. We saw how powerful it is, but what made it go? When you look at the backside, and this guy, number 77, and this guy, 65, they had a tough day going up against number 98, Crosby. But for this play, you saw them seal off that backside extremely well. Again, the young man, Voorhees, he's going to have to get to the outside edge of this defender. And then now it's about how can we seal, because I know one thing, Diablo is about to make a business decision, number 5 for the Raiders. You can go ahead and run that and see what, pause it right there. All I know is Ronnie Stanley is about to seal off this edge. You got Charlie Kolar, he's coming out and he's doing an excellent job blocking. You got Pancake Pack, he's about to seal it. There's an alley right here. Diablo is saying, hey, peekaboo, I'm here in the alley. But this is the awesomeness of the business decision that is Diablo and Derrick Henry. Go ahead and run it as we see it. Pause right there. There's no way this big man is going to go by you, Diablo. Oh, yes, we lied because he did. went by him, but then you can just see again that nice downfield blocking, great run. And this is the physicality that we're talking about. I mean, he basically is lifting up another human and knocking him out of bounds, 240-pound plus human, as we just go ahead and see him trucking down the field for good, positive, strong yards. Again, talk about seizing a moment. You have plays in this game where, yes, the Ravens were putting themselves in strong position to capture momentum and say we are the better football team. 2 plays where we saw 2 guys in Odafe Oweh as well as Derrick Henry and the rest of the offensive line seizing those moments to be effective against the Raiders.
Yeah, and that was the thing, was getting Derrick Henry going, right, Kev? Like, that was the ultimate goal here, and I think you wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, and I think it's also something where, look, for Derrick Henry, when he has a level of open field, when there's steam to Derrick Henry, it's extremely hard for him to be stopped. We saw him with that stiff arm, and I think that's what every Ravens fan was waiting to see, that vintage Derrick Henry stiff arm, the first one in a Ravens uniform. But we saw the Ravens in that middle of the third, beginning of the fourth, continuously go back to Derrick Henry in these situations. And we talked about his usage in week 1, and it seems like they were figuring it out earlier in that second half. And those are the types of plays you need in order to win football games, and especially wearing opposing defenses down, because, Q, you're exactly right. Guys are going to start to make business decisions on Derrick Henry, especially as the game wears on and the game starts to draw and get tired for a lot of these guys.
And the goal is Derrick Henry wears him down. But, hey, the Ravens do have some playmakers on the outside, specifically the first-round pick last year, Zay Flowers. He was balling out. But because of Derrick Henry's presence,
absolutely
sets up this touchdown.
Well, again, you talk about the Derrick Henry effect, thunder and lightning, what we talked even earlier in the season when you have Lamar Jackson. So you have Derrick Henry here. This is a really cool design, because what we're seeing is all these guys in the box. Everybody is keyed on either Derrick getting the ball for the leverage that is 1, 2, 3, 4. You got your tackle coming on over to the other side in Ronnie Stanley. This all says we are going to run the ball. The Raiders, they have their defense set up to take that away. And I think this is really cool, set up by Todd Monken, because if you go ahead and roll it and then pause right there, all this action freezes the linebacker. When you have that small little pitch that Lamar did to Derrick, now he has to respect that. He's frozen, and that allows for, go ahead and run it, our guy, Zay Flowers, to get right in behind the linebacker and go ahead and pay an homage out to Jacoby Jones. Seizing the moment means that, yes, you have to run the ball effectively. Yes, what is your counterpunch? We saw in the red zone, the counterpunch was real simple. Make everybody think by our formation. You got Ronnie Stanley coming over. It's an off-balance line. Everything looks like it's going to be a Derrick Henry off-tackle type run up the 3 gap. But wait a minute. We got play action, and now all of a sudden you got Zay Flowers, because of the linebacker respecting that strong run action, in the back of the end zone for an easy score. That's seizing the moment. That's seizing the opportunities to be that upper tier team.
Yeah, and right now, that's where things were feeling good, right, Kev? And at this point, we're going to break down the next play here, but things were feeling good, and Baltimore felt in control, Kevin, despite what ended up. But it felt like a game the Ravens were going to win.
It did, and I think that play-action play we saw right there, and Q, I think you hit the nail right on the head. It's where the Ravens, and I saw this stat floating around on a couple different platforms, but the Ravens only ran play-action on 12.8% of their plays on Sunday. And to me, I feel like you have to utilize that more if you're the Ravens, because we saw just the gravity of Derrick Henry on that play. We saw the gravity of Lamar Jackson in week 1. I mean, you have 2 elite threats, and the fact is you want to make defenses guess on these plays. You want to make defenses commit to something because they're scared of one possibility happening, and then you kind of pull all right, we're actually going to do the exact opposite, and it's an easy first down, easy touchdown. So those are the types of plays we even saw it a couple times in this game, where on an option play, the Ravens handed the ball off to Derrick Henry, but someone was so worried about Lamar Jackson, the edge defender shot up to Lamar, and Derrick Henry, that's one less defender you got to worry about. So I think 12.8% is too low. John Harbaugh said they should use that more. And look, I think going forward, you have to.
Yeah, I mean, it's all a work in progress. It's week 2, right? And you're trying to figure things out more. But what we're seeing is the excitement of what can be, but also you got to capitalize or put games away. And this is a season the moment opportunity here, Q. That's why we're pulling it up. This is now on the defensive side. There's 6:13 left in the third quarter. Fourth down. Raiders are going for it. We'll kind of run through it here, Q. You know, Davante, you think this is a ball he usually gets down here. But the Ravens might have called a break.
Well, he's isolated one-on-one on Brandon Stevens. I think this is a great opportunity to, yes, get them off the field, put your offense back on the field, go ahead and roll the tape. They were struggling in the first half, just even getting him the ball, but Davante does a good job. However, to the credit of Brandon Stevens, right at the moment where Davante located the football, Brandon Stevens held his ground and made it more of a difficult catch that ultimately, as you go ahead and see the conclusion of it, Davante Adams couldn't finish. A good opportunity to seize the moment. There's always going to be this battle of how can we play effectively, but then overcome our mistakes and our misses. And I think, unfortunately, we had a miss. We had a miss that is extremely difficult to overcome because we saw what happened. Defense did its job. Davante Adams misses the ball. Now, all of a sudden, you're in a great position. You have my guy, Bateman, right here, isolated. We're going to have a motion of Zay Flowers come over. It's going to dictate the coverage coming on over. Keep on rolling it. We see the coverage coming over and pause right here. Both defenders, they communicate, hey, I'm going to switch off. So they do. They switch off. Bateman now runs his route, which is a nice, beautiful route as far as stopping, coming back. But because they did a great job of switching off, now as opposed to Zay Flowers' guy being there for Zay, he actually passed off to Bate, and it becomes more of a contested catch. We have seen Bateman make these plays time and time again. I don't want to belabor the point. Go ahead and play it because my eyes have been damned. Unfortunately, it's a turnover. We know that right there, that's not seizing the moment. You see it even from the end zone copy. You got Zay going in motion. The Raiders do a great job of passing it off. Now it's a contested catch. I actually saw this play in slow motion, and literally you're talking about Bateman's hands just being effective enough. It's a game of inches, and sometimes those inches, it costs you. This one costs you. That's a tough one to swallow.
Yeah, and again, it's just there's moments right there. The Ravens, obviously, they had a chance to further pad their lead and put them away. Then obviously we know Vegas gets the ball back. They make it pay. And then there was some moments. Look, it was a tough day for penalties, right? Kevin, how many total penalties on the day for Baltimore?
11 for 109 yards.
Ooh, say that one more time.
11 for 109. Not a great day.
Whoa, well, one of those penalties, Q, it's one we want to talk about. And I know you're pro pass interference for the wide receiver. The Davante Adams, Brandon Stevens play has you feeling some type of way.
Yeah, Gene Steratore, I mean, I agree with what he was saying. There was a lot of hand fighting by both guys. And yes, I am pro pass interference for the receiver. Heck, I made my career off of making contested catches. And if I didn't get it, the flag was coming out. Brandon Stevens played this perfectly. Brandon Stevens, now the ball is about to come. You see his hands out. You see him looking back for the football. He is not in any way inhibiting number 17 from getting the ball. This here is just a great job of pass defense. There is no way in all of God's creation are we looking at a Brandon Stevens having pass interference. As a matter of fact, the side judge here that is standing on the sideline looking for anything suspicious, he never threw the flag. It's a guy who was some 20 so yards away looking at this, and he decides to throw a very late flag, which I think, obviously, you think you would get home field cooking. You don't. You get a ref who has the earful of the Raiders sideline. Oh, that's a PI. Oh. And he goes ahead and throws it. Somewhat a little biased because, yes, of Davante Adams. But this is frustrating because when you're talking about season moments, yeah, you had an unfortunate with your receiver as far as what he did and the interception. But when you have plays like this, control what you can control, Brandon Stephens did that. And unfortunately, it actually hurt the Ravens.
Yeah, it did. You know what? And there was a lot of hand fighting going on right there. And I'm a big believer. If it's both ways, I mean, let the guys play.
Let
right?
them play. Let them play.
And in that case, it was a big moment. But let's go back to what the Ravens can control, right? Yeah. Because in this case, as we move past this play, we have this graphic right here, Q.
Mother of pearl. You're up by 7. I mean, right there. You only got 16 points on us. We put up our 23, but this is 3rd and 1. The ball's on our 30. We recognize right now we can go ahead and at least 4 minutes can be burned off the clock, maybe more. We can control the game if we just convert this for a first down.
Well, and you would think short yardage situation, they might go to King Henry. They might go that way. But, Kevin, a different play here. Tell everyone who's under center.
That is number 88, Charlie Kohler, the tight end who the Ravens put under center. Some misdirection that we see. Not even misdirection. We see him go straight up the middle here. But
push.
The play is nullified.
Well, that's the thing is they got some push. They were doing all right. But the problem is right here.
We see right here, Derrick. I understand that, he felt like he was trying to get his balance, but regardless, that was an unfortunate error that I know he is just kicking himself like, man, I did not seize the moment in that regards of just being more sound and stout. We can argue till the cows come home. Hey, why in the world are you having Charlie Kohler in there to begin with? Why isn't it Lamar? Why isn't it big Derrick Henry being there? Because I think part of what the MO had been in the past, we saw Mark Andrews do that, but now you're putting it in a position where you don't have to worry about Charlie Kohler if he gets injured or not. It is a kind of a collision type of a scrum that could lead to an injury. We protect 8, we protect 22. 22 is going to help just push everything forward. It worked. The problem was, unfortunately, you didn't seize your opportunity as far as holding your water. You get a penalty that costs you 5 yards.
And then 3rd and 6, the Ravens don't convert. They got to punt it away. And, Kevin, how many penalties again for Baltimore?
11, 1-1.
Mother of pearl.
Woof! And then it leads to this play when we saw the Davante Adams pass interference before. Davante Adams is so damn good, Q. And I feel bad for Marlon here because I feel like he's one of the best in the business. Davante sets him up.
So this is Davante being Davante. I absolutely, as a receiver, I am kind of smirking, smiling because it's so sly. Everything is just nice, good, run, action, all that. Davante's like, yeah, whatever. Let's just brother-in-law one another. Hey, we got an agreement. We're not really going to be involved in a play, so go ahead and just run that. Why am I worried about whether or not we're blocked? We're not. Oh, wait a minute. So that was just awesome job of Davante, where he was just sitting back saying to himself, it doesn't matter. Marlon, let us just brother-in-law each other. The play is over there. Psych, fooled you. And that is a seize the moment for the Raiders rather than you're in position. Unfortunately, the refs screw you up and you have a momentary lapse in judgment of like, should I go hard? Should I not go hard? Oh, and then you wind up having it cost you for a touchdown.
They put him to sleep there. And we talked about Davante Adams as their number one threat on offense. But Q and Kevin, number one threat on defense and number one priority for the game was who?
Maxx Crosby. Maxx Crosby.
I don't even have to say his name. It just feels like I'm in a reoccurring nightmare. Like I had Chris Jones the first week. I even said if we just going to stop him. Yeah. We didn't stop him.
But that was the thing is that he was a game wrecker in this one.
And Maxx Crosby.
And now, this is a situation. They just scored that touchdown. Baltimore, 1st and 10, have a chance to go down, kind of seize this moment and try to get the game-winning drive. And Q, number 98, makes a big play.
Yes, this is called a tackle, an N or a T-E-T tackle, E-T-E stunt. mother of heavenly pearl. You literally have McCurry kind of coming out here. You're going to have Daniel Faalele come out here. You're going to have the release of the tight end and go ahead and play it. And then you're going to have 98 create a nightmare. Pause it. When you look at this play and the way in which the speed of Maxx coming off of that stunt, literally McCurry is passing it off. He is literally passing it off to Daniel Faalele. Daniel Faalele, from a footwork aspect of things, mother of pearl, just nowhere near fast enough. And now you got 98 staring down number 8, our guy, Lamar Jackson. Lamar is sitting there in the pocket. If you got a clean pocket, you got guys coming open down the football field, everything. But again, opportunity knocks for the Raiders. We saw it with Davante Adams. Now we're seeing it. Oh, mother of pearl.
It's tough. And I mean, overall, I think there was.
Maxx Crosby.
I mean, it's not getting easier with Micah Parsons on deck for Baltimore, right? And it was a big play, but Maxx Crosby had a massive day with what was his final line for Vegas?
Yeah, he had 2 sacks. He had the only 2 sacks for Las Vegas on the day and was tied for second on the team in tackles with 6 of them. So he was disrupting, and the point of disrupting, and obviously he got the production with the sacks, but you could see, and Q, you put it up there, where Charlie Kolar was kind of running and he was a little free, and there was a pocket. There was safety help over top, but there was a pocket where Charlie Kolar, if Lamar had been able to just release that ball without Crosby in his face, there was a shot that if he puts it in that perfect, drops it in there, that's a completion for a big first down and obviously potentially changes the outcome of that game. But Crosby gets there in a hurry, and you're put in a 2nd and 19, I believe it was, situation that is pretty hard to recover from, especially because Las Vegas just captured all of that momentum. And it really felt like with each play that happened, the Ravens just losing more and more of it. And honestly, even more of it slipped away after this play later in the game.
It was a tough stretch, but there was some good moments that the Ravens did seize, but they didn't seize enough Q to get the victory. And we'll be back again on Friday to talk about and answer your kind of questions for that game. There's a lot of question marks, and Q is a wealth of knowledge. But on our way out here, Kev, where can people find Missile Training?
Absolutely. MissileTraining.com. Again, you can go over there for all of your sports performance, human movement needs. So be sure to go to MissileTraining.com to get right with Q.
All right, guys, we appreciate you. If you like this, hit that like and subscribe, and we will talk soon.